United Kingdom, 1990. A total nightmare for highway patrol rolled out onto the night roads, the Lotus Carlton. On the outside, it looked like a regular family sedan, but underneath, it was a ferocious beast capable of leaving the era's best supercars in the dust. Picture this. A radar flash clocks an insane 280 kilometers per hour. The officers slam on the gas and turn on the sirens, but the dark green sedan vanishes into a pinpoint within seconds, leaving the cops with nothing. The police simply had no vehicles capable of even keeping it in sight. It got to the point where the British Parliament tried to ban the car altogether, declaring it too dangerous for public roads. In those years, the UK's highway patrol considered themselves the undisputed kings of the asphalt. Their interceptors were the pride of the force, and their pursuit tactics had been perfected over decades. Back then, a regular speeder would obediently pull over at the first sight of blue lights in the rearview mirror, knowing escape was practically impossible. But the arrival of the Lotus Carlton shattered that long-standing illusion of control overnight. This car turned British motorways into a zone of absolute impunity, where the law was powerless. Officers used to dominating any chase suddenly found themselves helpless spectators, reduced to watching taillights fade into the darkness. The shock to authorities and the public was so profound that a massive media storm erupted around the car. Parliament echoed with furious speeches from politicians, and the press openly labeled the new model a weapon for criminals. Never before in history had a standard four-door sedan struck so much primal fear into an entire government. In the late 1980s, General Motors was desperately trying to shake off its image as a manufacturer of boring gray cars for retirees. Management needed a massive branding explosion. They took their most ordinary, unremarkable family sedan, the Opel Omega A, sold as the Vauxhall Carlton in the UK, and handed it over for a deep mechanical overhaul to the racing engineering geniuses at Lotus. The mission was uncompromising. Build the fastest four-door production car on the planet to wipe the smile off established sports car brands. Budgets weren't spared. The engineers were given a blank check, and work took off at the factory in Hethel. The Lotus engineers approached the task with pure racing radicalism, tearing the original design apart almost beyond recognition. They completely dismantled the stock 3.0-liter inline-six engine and bored it out to a 3.6-liter capacity. To ensure the engine block could handle the immense stress, they reinforced its rigidity with a custom lower crankcase tie plate, installed forged Molle pistons, lightened connecting rods, a new crankshaft, and completely redesigned the 24-valve cylinder head. But the ultimate weapon was a pair of massive Garrett T25 turbochargers running in parallel rather than sequentially. This setup minimized turbo lag and provided monstrous torque right from idle. To keep things cool, the Lotus engineers designed a unique liquid-to-air charge cooling system, an intercooler setup, that barely fit inside the engine bay. As a result of these manipulations, the humble German engine turned into a monster, pushing out a phenomenal 377 horsepower and 568 newton-meters of torque. Mind-blowing numbers for 1990. For context, the legendary Ferrari Testarossa of the time put out 390 horsepower, while America's top supercar, the Chevrolet Corvette, managed just 250. This British sedan was breathing down the necks of purebred supercars while offering a full 5-seat cabin and a massive trunk. Naturally, the standard Opel transmission would have shattered into pieces on the very first hard launch, so the engineers had to source a gearbox elsewhere, settling on the massive and incredibly durable ZF 6-speed manual from none other than the extreme Corvette ZR1. Its clutch was so heavy that the driver needed real physical effort just to change gears. The car's suspension was completely re-engineered. They fitted a multi-link rear setup from larger GM models, revised the front McPherson strut geometry, and installed a self-leveling rear suspension system from the Opel Senator sedan to keep the car perfectly stable at insane speeds. The braking system was ordered from the cult racing brand AP Racing. Massive 4-piston monoblock calipers and ventilated 330mm discs literally anchored the heavy car to the ground, preventing brake fade even after consecutive hard stops. The exterior was styled to match the performance. The body received an aggressive aerodynamic kit with deep cooling cutouts in the front bumper, Flared wheel arches to house-wide 17-inch, staggered alloy wheels wrapped in Goodyear Eagle tires, and a massive rear wing on the trunk deck to generate downforce at speeds over 200 kilometers per hour. This Frankenstein project shot to 100 kilometers per hour in just 5.2 seconds and cleared the 160 kilometers per hour, 100 miles per hour mark in less than 11 seconds. The top speed was an astonishing 283 kilometers per hour, 176 miles per hour. But most importantly, the Lotus Carlton completely lacked an electronic speed limiter. At that exact time, the German Big Three, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi, had entered into a gentleman's agreement to artificially cap their fast cars at 250 kilometers per hour, 155 miles per hour, for safety reasons. The Lotus Carlton openly spat on those rules. In fourth or fifth gear, it kept accelerating fiercely, right where Germany's finest engineering masterpieces, like the BMW M5e 34, slammed into an invisible electronic ceiling. Its high-speed dynamics were so terrifying that the speedometer needle easily buried itself to the far right, leaving astonished Porsche 911 and Jaguar XJS owners trailing far behind. The car went on sale with an astronomical price tag for a mass-market brand, nearly £50,000, equivalent to well over £120,000 today. Ordinary car enthusiasts couldn't dream of affording such a luxury, but the new model's biggest fans instantly became professional heist crews and car thieves rather than millionaires. The UK underworld quickly figured out the perfect formula. Why use conspicuous two-door sports cars or slow, clunky vans for robberies when you can just steal a Lotus Carlton? It could comfortably fit 4 large men in masks, the massive trunk could hold hundreds of kilograms of loot, and its Formula One grade dynamics guaranteed a flawless getaway from any local constables. The car became the perfect tool for a new type of crime. The ultimate legend of early 90s British crime was a daring gang that stole a brand new Imperial Green Lotus Carlton, bearing the registration plate 40RA in the West Midlands. The car belonged to a private individual, but after the theft, it became a ghost that terrorized the entire English Midlands for months. The gang specialized in night raids on shopping centers, high-end electronics stores, and wholesale liquor warehouses. The criminals acted with incredible audacity, utilizing a tactic known as ram raiding, slamming the reinforced heavy rear end of the Lotus Carlton through glass storefronts and brick walls at full speed. Within a couple of minutes, they would stuff the spacious cabin and trunk with valuables and vanish into the night before an emergency dispatcher could even log the call from panicked witnesses. Every time patrol cars arrived at the scene with sirens wailing, the situation turned into an absolute farce. At the time, British Highway Patrol was equipped with Opel Senator sedans powered by 3.0-liter straight-six engines, which were quite good for their day. They could easily hunt down a standard offender, but against the Lotus Carlton, they looked like lazy turtles. The chases on the M4 and M6 motorways became legendary in British police history. The thieves openly mocked Scotland Yard officers. The driver of the Lotus would deliberately slow down on the highway, letting the patrol car pull up almost bumper to bumper to give the cops a false hope of a successful intercept. Then, he would simply step on the gas. With a deafening hiss from the twin turbos, the sedan would instantly launch forward, leaving nothing but an exhaust cloud behind, and dissolve into the darkness at speeds well over 260 kilometers per hour, 160 miles per hour. Police helicopters scrambled to join the pursuit were also completely useless. On the straight stretches of rural motorways, the Lotus simply outran the aerial surveillance, exceeding the maximum speed of the choppers available at the time. The criminals knew they were untouchable, and this impunity drove the police crazy. The situation reached a point of absolute absurdity and became a national embarrassment for the Home Office. Highway Patrol suffered immense reputational damage, and officers began reporting severe stress. Ultimately, the leadership of the West Midlands Police issued an unprecedented internal directive. Patrol units were strictly forbidden from engaging in a pursuit if they visually identified the Lotus Carlton with the 40RA plates. The leadership's reports openly admitted that the department's vehicles were technically inadequate against the monster, and attempting to chase it on public roads posed a fatal threat to the lives of the officers themselves and innocent bystanders. The police had essentially signed their own surrender papers. The government was furious. Tabloids were filled with biting cartoons mocking the helpless sheriffs, and Parliament saw serious demands to forcibly pull the model from sale or mandate Lotus to install limiters. The 40RA gang was never caught in the act. After months of highly successful robberies, the cult car was found abandoned at the bottom of the River Avon. The criminals ruthlessly dumped it only after they had completely burnt out its complex mechanical components, squeezing every last drop out of the engine until it died. The Lotus Carlton lasted on the assembly line for only a couple of years, from 1990 to 1992. The loud scandal in the press, heavy government pressure, the sudden economic recession of the early 90s, and skyrocketing insurance costs ultimately killed off this ambitious project. Insurance companies placed the model on their highest blacklists and demanded such unaffordable premiums that a year of coverage could cost more than a good second-hand hatchback. People simply became afraid to buy the car, fearing constant police stops and judgmental looks from their neighbors. Instead of the planned thousands of units, only 950 cars ever saw the light of day. 320 right-hand drive Vauxhall Carltons for the UK market, and 630 left-hand drive Opel Omega Lotuses for the rest of Europe. A project designed for the ultimate triumph of a mainstream brand became too toxic and dangerous for the commercial market, yet it remains forever etched in automotive history as a shining symbol of an era when engineers were still allowed to create absolute madness without being micromanaged by pragmatic marketers, strict emissions frameworks, and corporate etiquette. It was a golden age of automotive romanticism, when cars were forged out of passion, gasoline, and raw metal, not calculated by computer algorithms and emissions reduction mandates. The engineers at Lotus proved to the world that a regular, boring, mass-market shell could conceal a primal, uncontrollable fury capable of single-handedly rewriting the rules of the road across an entire country and upending a nationwide law enforcement system. They built an eternal monument to audacity. It was a unique sedan that openly challenged governments, police forces, public morality, and physics itself, and emerged from that brutal fight an absolute victor. Cops never managed to catch it on the asphalt, but relentless time has transformed it into an immortal and incredibly expensive classic. Today, surviving examples of the Lotus Carlton are worth a fortune, their auction values climb every year, and collectors hunt them down globally. Every rare appearance of this machine on a modern road serves as a loud, raw reminder of a time when speed was real, freedom was boundless, and cars possessed a truly terrifying character of their own.